Hey everybody, where's Wally here? Well, today I've been having a play with my latest chew toy, the AVO. He's a local lad. Well, I've been having some fun with the AVO ever since I've crossed swords with him over the Falcon Heavy Supercut video way back in January. Now, he pumps out some very confusing videos, well, much too loud for me.
Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it? 666. Don't know the answer?
666.
And the structure of his videos gets to the point in much the same way that confused spaghetti doesn't. So I'll only show you guys the bits where he is clearly making a point, which is not that often. So he shows an image of the Earth from Himawaris 8, and this is one of those where the moon is caught in the overscan. But he doesn't go on to make much of a point about this in the video. However, I will come back to this point a little bit later. Well, after a lot of wobbling about and zooming, he finally showed a picture that he took of the moon and Venus in the western sky of Brisbane. And then he shows a video from P900 Coolpix, Sandra in UK, and she does take some very artistic videos with her P1000 and her P900. And the link to her video is in the description as always. Now it seems the AVO noticed that the angle of the moon, or the direction of the moon's apparent motion, is different. Yes, the whole sky is rotated about, well, almost 90 degrees. Now I asked him why, and of course we all know why. Brisbane is almost minus 28 south, and Blackpool, where Sandra is, and I'm assuming this is where she's taken the video from, is 53.8 north. And looking at the angle of the line between the moon and Venus, we can see that they are roughly 90 degrees rotated. And that's 28 plus 54 is 82, which is not far off for a quick rough test. AVO is yet to address this fact. Yeah, he's totally confused by it, in fact. Then he highlighted his claim in his comments. It seems that AVO thinks that the Himawaris 8, Himawaris 9 has only ever seen the moon off the edge of the Earth way back in 2015. Now, the overscan region is the little bit to the side of the globe where they stop imaging, but because the profile of the Earth is circular and the scan does 23 rectangular passes across the disk of the Earth, there is a little area at the ends which is looking at whatever is behind the Earth. So he wants to see the sun in the overscan region. Well, the AVO thinks that it's a winner argument for him to ask for the sun peeking over the limb of the Earth. Actually, it was super easy, barely an inconvenience. So what I did do that you didn't do, AVO, is look at the Himawaris 9 data, Himawaris 8 data. It doesn't matter, all the same. My first thought was 21st of March 2023, the equinox. So this is what I saw. The sun is definitely there, but they have masked it off to prevent the sun screwing up the imaging data. Makes sense to me. So that is one side. What about the other? Well, the sun reappeared about 1 hour and 10 minutes later. Now, why does that time sound familiar to me? Well, here is a time lapse I took of the BSAT-3 group, which is west of the Himawaris 8, Himawaris 9, but on the same night, they're all eclipsing for roughly the same duration. Now, this group blinked out at 16:14 UTC and then reappeared at 17:22 UTC. That's 1 hour and 8 minutes later. This makes perfect sense, as what we're seeing is the sunlight that is reflected off of these satellites. I also found a time-lapse of the Himawaris 8 and 9 sat, and that is them at the bottom right. Now, this was taken on the last night that I saw them eclipsing, so the path of the sun was very close to the North Pole and was barely being hidden at all. And this time we see the blink out of the Himawaris at 14:32 Zulu, which is just after midnight, and that also makes sense as the H8, H9 are above longitude 140 east, as I'm 153 point something east, so I'm about 12 degrees east of the latitude of the H8, H9. So it makes sense that they are in the sky slightly west of due north. And they pop back out of the Earth's shadow at 14:43, and that was just 11 minutes later. When we look at the Earth from the Himawaris, we see that the sun in the image at 30 minutes past the hour was indeed no sun at all. And how cool is that? Same time, same duration. So now that we could see the sun daily for the weeks before and after the equinox, what must AVO, the other silly claim about the moon? Only ever seen peeking out one time. Well, this was the very second Google result, and it was from this year, and it's simply stunning. And I looked a bit more and I found another. And then I found another. And another. Not looking good for you, AVO, is it? Then I found a scientific paper where they're talking about research done on the photobombing moon, and they had found over 900 occurrences in the dataset from 2015 to 2021. That's just 6 years. Okay, AVO, so not just once at all, but many, many, many times. Well, I had promised AVO that I would explain to him just briefly why geostationary satellites are always over the equator. It's quite simple, mate. If they are too far north, then there is more of the Earth on the southern side, and it pulls it back to the centre, and vice versa. It's the only spot where they can keep travelling directly above the same spot, not get pulled north or south by the gravity. Now, I know AVO wanted to make me sad, but every time I dissect one of his videos, I can't help feeling, well, rather happy. Enjoy this little bit of the ISS at dusk over USA today, and see if you can spot the thing that made me go, ooh, wow, that's pretty.